Welcome back to Guru Beauty. I am Jody and I'm so excited to do a bit of a review and swatch video for you on the cheeks today for the brand new NARS Dual Intensity blushes. If you are familiar with the NARS Dual Intensity eyeshadows, of which NARS released singles for last year and most recently this year, NARS has released an 8-shade palette. They are very intensely pigmented eyeshadows that are designed to be used wet or dry. You do sometimes get a very different effect with a wet versus a dry look, and with the eyeshadows what we saw was a beautiful range of shades, quite expensive in terms of single eyeshadow prices, but a beautiful product that when you apply water to the eyeshadow, it just turned that eyeshadow into a beautiful cream. Most of them, if not all of them, are shimmer, and they've just been very popular since NARS did release them, price aside. Now, when I heard that NARS was releasing 6 shades of these dual intensity blushes, I could not resist. My sister has shipped these over to me from America, but they will be launching here in Australia at Mecca Cosmetica and Mecca Maxima on April 27th. They retail for $45 US, so I think at a guess they'll probably be around 60 Australian. I'm not sure, but once I know that price, I will certainly list it down below. Today I'll be showing you all 6 shades, and when I say 6 shades, each shade actually has 2 different colors. So altogether 12 different shades of the NARS Dual Intensity blushes. Some of them are highlights, some of them are more of a contour shade, and some are blushes. So if you are interested in seeing what all 6 of these Dual Intensity blush palettes look like, and to hear my final thoughts at the end, keep on watching. Okay, first up we have a duo called Craving. Craving looks like a contour palette. You have a highlight shade and more of a contouring shade. You'll see as I'm putting it on that the highlight is a fairly modest highlight, I guess, as it goes on dry. And the same can be said with the bronzer. It certainly does feel like it takes a little bit to build that up on the cheeks. I have to keep dipping in with the brush and then applying, dipping back in with the brush and then applying. Of course, this all does depend on which brush you are using. I think obviously the stiffer, more dense the bristle, the easier it's going to be to pick up this product dry. However, when you apply it wet, the product instantly turns into like a cream texture. It actually recovers from that cream texture very, very quickly and dries off, which gives you a bit more flexibility and ability to work with this product in a very easy, adaptable way. It's just very, very user-friendly. When I did the first cheek swatch of Craving wet, I was not wetting the brush enough. So I will cut now to where I did use a wetter brush, and you can see that it's really just like cream contouring when you apply it under your cheekbone, and the brush dries off very quickly and you can sort of start blending that product around. It's very, very workable. Yeah, it's beautiful. It applies like a cream, it dries off very quickly, and then of course you can also go back in with a dry brush and you can stack on a little bit more dry product for extra sort of longevity. The bronzer in the contouring palette is absolutely beautiful. It's certainly not too orange, it's certainly not too cool, and then that highlight when applied wet is just stunning, stunning. So really, you know, the question is, are there 2 shades in this palette or are there 4? The way that these adapt from dry to wet is absolutely beautiful, and it's like an entirely different product. Next up, we've got a beautiful duo called Frenzy. Frenzy is a combination of a beautiful gold looking highlight and then a more of a peachy type blush shade. The highlight you can see going on, you know, it's going to give you a subtle glow. It's still going to give you a glow, and of course depending on the brush, again, that is very, very adaptable. The peachy shade of blush, for me, it took a little bit of building up. It does have still a little bit of a sheen to it. I wouldn't describe it as a sparkle, but under light it's definitely going to glow, even dry, but it does take, depending on the brush, a few dips into the product to sort of scrub around, pick up product and pop it on your cheek. When you apply it wet, The highlight, again, just a beautiful sort of foiled effect on the cheekbone. Of course, you can apply that to your eyelid, you can apply that to your cupid's bow, you can apply that down the bridge of your nose, not only your cheekbone, but just beautiful wet. It's just like a very strong cream highlight, and that peachy blush shade, it really does just turn into a beautiful pigmented cream blush that dries off quickly, but not in a way that renders it unworkable. It keeps being blendable even as it dries down. It keeps being workable. This is a beautiful product that doesn't take off the foundation underneath. It just all somehow works in the most beautiful way. You can go back in with dry product over the top of it again just to make it even more intense and almost to set it, but it does dry very quickly. Beautiful, beautiful shades with that Frenzy duo. Next up, we have a much more pinky version of Frenzy that I just showed you. So this one is called Adoration. This time we have a pink toned, very light and bright highlight, and then a very, very raspberry, strawberry type blush shade. This one is called Adoration. And you can see again, that is a cooler toned highlight as it is applied dry to the cheekbone. You certainly still do get some payoff with that highlight. Hopefully I'm moving my head in a way that you can see. And then that blush, you really don't need to dig around in that blush too much at all. You are getting some really good pigmented color payoff even dry, but then wet, gorgeous, creamy pigmented highlight, creamy pigmented blush that just blends in beautifully. A really nice one for those of you who like that sort of ethereal rosy glow. A beautiful one for those of you with pale skins in the winter where you just like that raspberry sort of pop. That is Adoration. Absolutely gorgeous. Next up, we have probably my favorite. This was my favorite before I even bought these blushes, but I'm so into those more sort of neutrally plummy tones, and I think that this is going to be a very, very popular shade. This is called Fervor, and Fervor, you can see, has, it's not really a highlight, it's not really a blush, it is both or one or the other depending on your skin tone, but you've got this beautiful sort of peachy pinky shade, and then this gorgeous sort of plummy shade of blush that definitely has some sheen. Now that light pink does take a little bit of building up when you apply it dry, again depending on that brush, but that bronzy, plummy, beautiful burgundy shade are gorgeous. These work very, very nicely on the eyes as well. They work very beautifully together as well, these shades, when you blend the two colors together. Really beautiful. And then you can see how they apply wet. You get a beautiful pop with that peachy pink. This would be a gorgeous blush shade for ladies of very fair and light skin tone. But even with my medium skin tone, I think that does make a lovely ethereal type blush. Beautiful shade. And then I love, love, love that plummy shade, whether it's dry or wet, in this palette from Fervor. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. All of these blushes really do have a sheen to them, so you know, if you like that light reflection, you're definitely going to have that glow with these blushes. I find that they don't sit in the pores. I find that they are just lovely. They are absolutely lovely. They don't really exacerbate pores. It's just magical. This is an absolutely magical formula, and I love these blushes so much. Next shade, I have a couple of highlighters. This is going to be a beautiful highlight palette for those of you who want to pick and choose between a warmer gold shade or a more pinky champagne-y shade. A gorgeous set of highlighters here in this duo is called Jubilation, and I will be applying first of all that pinky champagne-y shade to my cheek. I'll apply it dry, and then I'll be going over the top of that with that same shade with a very wet brush, and you can see that even dry you are definitely getting a lovely glow off that highlight. Absolutely beautiful. And then wet, you just get like a foiled effect that still doesn't exacerbate the pores in any terrible way. That gold shade is absolutely dreamy. You can see I'm doing the same thing on the other side. First applying it dry, you're just getting a gorgeous, lovely, impactful gold that's a little bit more subtle. Again, just use a fan brush, just use a fluffier brush if you want a more subtle effect. And of course, you've just got that choice of applying it like a foiled effect. Again, gorgeous on the eye, gorgeous. I will cut to a clip now as well using a really wet precision brush just to apply it to my Cupid's bow, also down the bridge of my nose. You can also use this product obviously in the corners of your eye just for that extra pop. These are really, really adaptable, and I just love the fact that you've got a really subtle dry highlight if you use a fluffy brush. You've got a beautiful pigmented, impactful highlight if you just use it dry with a more dense brush, and then you've got that gorgeous foiled effect using it wet. This product recovers beautifully from being wet. It doesn't cake down and harden on that outer layer. You can go back in and use it dry just like you'd never wet it down. That's what makes these products so beautiful, versatile and adaptable. Last palette I want to show you is some very, very vibrant colors. This is Panic, and I'm going to swatch wet and dry these colors separately. I'll go into that more orangey coral type color first of all. It actually comes off less orange and more pink on my skin, which is really interesting. Very, very pigmented dry, blends out like a dream. Very, very pigmented wet, blends out again like a dream. Not much difference if you ask me, if you just build it up dry versus wet, but they both blend out beautifully. Love that shade. And then going into that more shocking fuchsia pink, absolutely gorgeous. Again, very pigmented on its own. You probably wouldn't be applying this wet all that often because you just don't need to, but again, it just behaves like a wonderful cream blush. You just don't need very much product at all. Blends out beautifully. I love this. These shades are absolutely gorgeous. So now you've had a chance to see all of the blushes swatched, I will share my final thoughts with you. Reviews seem to be a bit mixed on these blushes. Hopefully it's clear that I absolutely love these blushes. I think they are delightful and gorgeous, even on my face, which tends to have very large pores, and certainly pores is one of the things that I definitely look to watch out for when it comes to makeup. I find that these products are beautiful. I love the glow I get from them, and I don't find that they exacerbate the pores on my face. I think they just give a lovely, beautiful finish on my aging skin. When you look at other reviews online, certainly Sephora, where these products get overall 4 stars out of 5, probably the biggest complaint about these blushes for some is that they are lacking in pigment. Now, what you would have seen as I applied these blushes is that some of them do need me to go back in with the brush, especially dry, and apply a little bit more. Back in with the brush and apply a little bit more. This is going to vary widely depending on what brush you're using. If you use a softer, fluffier brush, you're going to get a softer effect. If you use a denser, more stiff type bristle, you're going to get a more strong pigmented effect, even using dry product. Now, when it comes to wetting the product, you've got some choices. You can either just dampen the brush lightly and you're going to get just a slightly more pigmented effect, or you can wet that brush down. In this video, I was using a product from MAC. This is the MAC Mineralized Charged Water, and if I held it close to the brush and gave a brush like 3 sprays, then I had a really wet brush, and that rendered the powder cream instantly upon touching it. And then you've got like a cream effect, whether you're using that bronzer from Craving or any of the blushes or highlight type shades to your face. It's like using a very creamy product that then dries down and remains workable. So you've got some choices there when you're applying it dry or wet, just depending on how wet you wet the brush, what kind of brush you use. I love the versatility of these products. So are they pigmented? Yes, I think that there is absolutely a way to get that true color one way or another out of every single product. Now, the one thing I would say is that I absolutely love the sheen that I get from these products. Some of the highlighters are absolutely, you know, they're not sparkly, but you definitely get a sheen, even dry, which is lovely. And then of course, as you saw, applied wet, you certainly can get a foiled effect, or a very strong pigmented blush, or a very strong pigmented bronzer. I love that about these products. I think that's absolutely fabulous. Now, I find even when I apply these wet, and certainly with a lot of product, they never cake up. They never start taking away your foundation. I love the way that it sits on top of foundation. Today I'm using the Steeler Stay All Day, and it's interacted with these NARS blushes absolutely beautifully. I think that these are gorgeous, and even though they have a sheen, I find that they really complement my skin with the fine lines and the pores and everything that I'm always watching out for. I just love the finish of this product. But for those of you who don't like a shimmery, glowy type finish, if you are after an absolutely matte product, then you're not gonna like these products. They all have some glow to them one way or another. None of them are sparkly, chunky, glittery, but none of them are outright matte. I think just depending on how you want to use them, you're going to get a myriad of effects from each of the shades. I love the versatility. I'll say it again, I know I've already said it 10 times, but I love the versatility of this palette. You are paying a pretty penny for 2 shades, but I love the fact that you've got a powder product, you've got a cream product, you've got an everything in between product from this one palette. I adore this product, so I hope that that's clear. Before I go, I will share with you my favorites. I do absolutely love Fervor. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful mix of shades. I love the way that these shades look individually, but I also love the way that they look together. I also love Craving. I love that sort of bronzer as a contour, and this highlight, absolutely gorgeous. I would say probably my third favorite though would have to be this one. I love Frenzy as well. I love this peachy shade, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then in combination with this gold, a gorgeous look with a tan, especially over summer. Lastly, I do want to let you know about the animal cruelty side of things with NARS. I want to let you know that NARS, the brand itself, is cruelty free, but it is owned by a parent company that is known as not being cruelty free. So certainly do be aware of that as well in your decision making when you're out there shopping for makeup. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. It is certainly a commitment of time to watch my videos, and I so appreciate it, as well as your interactions down below. I love to hear from you, so please do feel free to comment down below. Have yourself a gorgeous day. Don't forget, you are beautiful even without all of this stuff, but don't just worry about looking it. Make sure you be it, and I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.